is going to be a very interesting session wherein we're going to talk about the retail scale playbook. And we have with us, two brands which has been existing for a very long time, but have just stepped into franchising. Though they were there into partnerships for a very long time, but pure play franchising is just come in. And Archie's, that was, I still remember meeting them for the first time in 2000, which is like, for some people, that's like the age. So yeah, it's been a good journey. So the objective of the session would be that we'll focus on brands and retailers in orchestrated malls, high streets, digital formats, driving footfall, profitability, and nationwide reach. So first of all, I would like to ask, the first important things like malls versus high street versus digital. So, where has your capital gone in last 5 years, in malls, high streets, or digital first stores?
Thank you so much for inviting me here, and it's a privilege to be part of Franchise India. And we have been associated with Franchise India for quite long now. So I think it has become an ecosystem. It is not like uh, either quick commerce is not important or retail has gone down or e-commerce have gone down. They are all now interdependent upon each other. And of course, with the time, we have started investing in quick commerce, and side by side, we are also increasing our stores because brick and mortar can never go out of tradition. It has to be there forever. So nothing can surpass the traditional trade. So our investment keeps, still has a very reasonable share for brick and mortar model. And then, of course, few amount of investment is being invested in e-commerce and quick commerce.
So, yeah, thank you, Ashita. I'll answer this question in three parts because the role played by malls differs from the category we are operating. So, for instance, if I'm talking about the international brand portfolio of Reliance, the brands which are the international ones, the mainstay is the malls because the premium malls are the place where we call them as an integrated market ecosystem. For us, they are critical for the premium brands and their pedigree and to build the consumer and give consumer access. So premium malls, premium mall chains are integral for the international brands. Having said that, the international brands also take positions on marquee high streets, like being in a GK, being in a CP in Delhi, or being in Linking Road in Bombay. These are marquee high streets which have been um, very importantly poised in the respective cities for over 5 decades. Yeah, so that's one part of the this one. Now there are brands which are like what I call as mid-segment brands. If I'm looking at a Lee Cooper or a John Player, then the strategy is a very mixed strategy. So we have investments in high street stores, high street stores in emerging markets, high street stores in extension markets, in tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 towns, because that's the kind of access we want to give to the mid segment consumers for the menswear. We are there in shopping shops in large retailers, and we are present in malls. We also have a distribution network for these brands through distributors, through MBOs. So the strategy shifts. Now, if I'm looking at formats like, say, Reliance Digital, this is a different strategy. We have large format experience center stores in big malls, which are 10,000 square feet, where we give gamification, we give audio sensory feel, visual sensory feel. We have zones for the consumer to really experience the entire digital products. Then we have marketplace stores, which are high street stores, 3 level stores, 2 level stores of 7,000 square feet, where we need to be present, but there are no malls to give that kind of experience. And then we go down to further tier 1, tier 2 towns where we make it into a smaller store of 3,000, 4,000 square feet, where fast moving appliances along with mobiles make our 3, 4,000 square feet digital stores. And for the very fast moving category of mobiles, we have footprints of 600 square feet, 700 square feet stores, thousands of them spread across the country. So it's a very variated approach based on the category we are operating. And to us, all are important channel wise.
So, having said that, what has been the trade-off largely when it comes to say cost, reach, and say scalability? So when we talk about brick and mortar stores, or we talk about digital presence, so is the reach and scalability coming from there, or you feel that still the high street versus malls gives me more reach and scalability?
So this again is driven by category experience. So I can give you the example of grocery. We've been doing grocery with Reliance Fresh, smart bazaars, smart superstores, smart points. So we have formats to go with various spaces. So in the malls, we have done those large format big boxes, which we call them as smart superstores. We have done smart superstores in high streets, in big markets. We've done smart bazaars, which are 3,000 square feet in high streets, in extension markets, and new emerging markets because the market consumption size is smaller. And more recently, we've realized that the quick commerce is there to stay. And we also have a participation. Yes, we started later than the Blinkit and the Zepto, but then we adapted ourselves, and today we have over 1,000 dark stores. And it's been a very big realization that the quick commerce is no longer about only quick delivery or instant delivery or the speed of delivery. Very interestingly, we have anecdotal references of people in Bombay ordering 10 kg atta because they want the 10 kg atta to be delivered on the 15th floor of their apartment. They don't want to carry it from their car into their apartment on the 15th floor. There is orders for 5 kg of basmati rice. Now that's not quick commerce, that's more convenience. I want it at my doorstep. I don't want to go to the store. I know this basmati rice or this atta, this brand which comes from Geo Smart is guaranteed, and I know this brand. So I like this service. So that's another consumer behavior which is coming out. And we are seeing this happen. We see this kind of behavior in Agio Lux. They are very, we are discovering the consumer behavior as we are going in the journey. So it's not something which is cast and defined where we can say, yeah, we've arrived it, we know it all. No, we know very little of it. Consumer is ever evolving. So we don't even, we have strategies, but we change strategies every quarter because consumer behavior is shifting every day. And at least the fastest we can change is every quarter.
I think quick commerce is more about convenience. So it's about convenience, it's about urgency. It's not about, it's not more about, I think, the loyalty or the possessiveness for the brand. It's about the discounts, convenience, urgency, last minute buying. So I think they have taken and filled that gap. But the retail continues to be there. I think nothing can take that over.
Yeah. So on that, when we know that location is good, and we say that okay, this is a high footfall area, we are into malls, or we are into places like Connaught Place, or GK for that matters in Delhi, or a linking road. Uh, what what do you think lets the consumer come back to the outlet, which is not really footfall? I mean, other than footfall, what do you think it'll get them back on the store?
See, our experience has been that consumers come back to the store only if they see value beyond product, beyond price. It's more about experience. Now, I can give you an example from the brand Amante, which is a premium women's lingerie and intimate wear brand. We've taken it over from the last 3 years and we've been building it. Now, a consumer goes to an Amante store not because they cannot buy Amante online, but the advisor, the sales advisor who's there, she is very well versed with suggesting the right kind of product to the Amante buyer. To the woman buyer, when she goes into an Amante store, she gets expert advice on what kind of shapewear, what kind of lingerie, what use case is there, which is the more comfortable, which is the better fabric, which is the better fit. and what is the purpose. So there's a very strong advisory guidance which comes. And we've seen consumers who buy two products online, loyal consumers, when they come to the store of Amante or Zivame, they're buying 3.8 to 4 products per transaction. And they are coming back every 3 to 4 months to the store to buy more, because they know that they are assured of the kind of guidance and the technical know-how and support they get when they buy the products. So that is a testament of the value created through that experience of buying is what brings them back more than the price or the offer.
And I think it's the love for the brand and the long association, the personal touch. So if I've been going to a store regularly, so I'll feel more comfortable with that person. That person would know what I like, how much time do I have to spend in the store. I'm always in a hurry. The person would know, the salesperson would know she's always in a hurry. So I need to, quickly tell her what fits her or what she would like. So it's like a personal relation you're developing with the store staff or through a store staff with the brand. So probably if I'm liking someone's guidance and someone is guiding me perfectly and I'm coming to that store again and again, it would not make me shift easily to another brand because there I don't have any connection, or probably switch to a brand that I've seen online. So I don't know whether this brand is authentic or this brand has a good quality. But when I think the sales, in sales, the retail part of the sale, the brick and mortar, is the inception of the sales in future. Because once you see a brand physically, you have more, trust on that brand. That brand, oh, right, we saw that brand there. Oh, this is online. Now we can buy it because we have that trust because that brand has a presence physically. So I think brick and mortar will always be important for any brand to grow because there's a trust factor.
True.
So yeah.
True. So, how many, if I have to ask you about the brand, as to how many stores is company owned and how many stores are owned by others, like franchisees?
So in Archie's, we have 60% of the stores that are owned by the company and 40% are franchisee. But now we are increasing on franchises because, with franchisees, you need to understand that they are connected with the audience of that particular locality. So there's a cultural touch. There is a more deeper penetration than, having a brand store that you want to establish there, so that you're partnering with someone who knows that locality better than you. So he knows that what kind of product that you have to offer will be bestseller in that area. So I think it's very, very important to partner with the local people and letting the franchisee to those people, so it will help the brand having more greater value. And of course growth is always there with the local partner.
Sure. And Satish, you have a lot of brands. So, if you could let us know what, I mean, how would you, I want to structure is, I'm not too sure, but how many brands is something that you own?
Okay, I'll not get into the number, but I'll tell you a brief about the structure. So we have the entire portfolio of international brands, whether it is Superdry, La Martina, Gas, and the rest of them. They all come under the vertical of Reliance Brands Limited. Then we have the fashion and lifestyle brands which come under Reliance Retail Fashion and Lifestyle. So that comprises of Trends, Yousta, Azorte, which are the large format brands. And then we have the smaller format brands like Lee Cooper, John Player, Zivame, Amante, Clovia, Performax, and the rest, Portico and so on. Yeah. Apart from that, we have the vertical of digital, which is the Reliance Digital, Geomart Digital, which takes care of the entire appliances and digital business. We have Reliance Jewels, which is our jewelry segment. We also have the license for 7-Eleven in India. So we have rolled out 7-Eleven in two market clusters, that is Bombay and Pune, and it's a Japanese collaboration. So we have the license for India, and obviously there will be rollouts going in the next few years into other clusters of markets. We are also the licensees for Gap in India. So these are a few of the and then we have the big business of grocery, which is the Smart Superstore, Smart Bazaar, Fresh, the entire portfolio of food. So that's in a nutshell. And apart from that, we also have gotten into petroleum retailing once again with GeoBP. We have a tie-up on EV charging stations also that's coming up. So there are multitude of things happening right now, and I guess what I'm spoken is only a fraction of it. There will be many more to come in the future.
So how much you give preference to partnerships and how it has evolved over a period of time?
As a company, we initially started off with own retail, and we've been there in this own retail for about 2 decades. Um, and now, since we wanted to accelerate the growth, since the base has been already established, especially for the smaller brands retail business, we have started working with franchisee partner relationships across the country. Apart from that, I think wherever there is retail, operations intensive activities involved, like GeoBP, we are getting into, fuel stations and charging stations with franchising, because there again we need local management capabilities and franchisee operations to be locally managed and deliver better customer service. So that's how we are growing this entire vertical of franchising in multiple sectors. We will be looking at franchising for 7-Eleven also going forward, because that's the way globally 7-Eleven has expanded through franchisees. So there are certain initiatives on board and certain go-to-market plans already in place. So that's how we are expanding our franchisee relationships and taking it forward.
Sure. So now coming to the outlet and at the floor level, what is the how do you make a per square feet profitable? So
See-
if you could if you could tell me like 3 things or 4 things maybe that would play a most important part in making that profitable.
See, we define roles for the type of stores we have. For instance, the stores in premium malls and the stores in premium high streets have a very well defined role. Here, it is about image building, it's about creating huge brand awareness and brand credibility. So, these stores, while we will definitely try to achieve a certain level of profitability, but driving a profit beyond a certain line item is not possible, because costs on premium high streets and marquee high streets are very high, and so are the costs in premium and large mall chains high. So here it is about just keeping, giving great experience to customers, because these are must-have locations. Where we are driving our profitability is on the other high streets, because high street is where you have a profit flexibility, in the sense that extension markets, new markets, commercial markets, which are not high streets, the marquee high streets, definitely give us a larger yield of our share of profit for the stores. And then if you go to tier 2, tier 3 towns, there the rentals are definitely lesser than the metro cities. And where there, again, we have the entire Bharat tier 2, tier 3 market consumption story is really unfolding very well in the last 5 years. So it's been a very remunerative drive in getting in all formats. I mean, whether it is Smart Bazaar, digital, trends, all the formats which have gone into tier 2, tier 3 cities, been very, very, good response and very strong profitability lines out there. So that's been the experience, and it's a portfolio which we manage, and we build the profitability across the portfolio. Yes, there will be, when we go to a mall like Ambience or Phoenix or DLF, profitability takes a backseat.
Yeah, I think the stores are just excellent platforms for experience. And so the profit economics comes from various areas. But when it comes to a store at a high street or at a very reputed mall, I think people are there to have the experience. So, for example, if you are into a textile industry, or if you're in a luxury segment like jewelry, so people want to really feel, and they want to I think understand the quality of the product and looking them in front of your eye. I think a best example I can see is Swarovski. So whenever you move into the store, it's a different experience center. So if you talk about Apple, although Apple is a very renowned brand, people don't need to understand the quality, but still you need to go to an Apple store to find what is the latest, how it looks like, although there's 3D, 4D, 5D images available on internet, but still you want to pick that product and feel that how it looks in your hand. So similarly, if you are giving something to someone as a gift, like if I talk about my brand Archie's, so you really want to feel the gift, see it from all the angles and feel and touch. So I think the retail model is going to be long term, and it is going to be there forever, because once you feel the stuff, and no, as a female, I think no matter how many apps of the world you have on your phone, but when you are entering into a mall is a completely, I think it's a more of entertainment and a social experience. It's not just about shopping, it's about going there with the family, spending time, dining out, shopping, and then experiencing what brand has to launch. So as we were discussing, both of us, so he rightly said that online is just a 6-inch screen where your eyes are going to and fro, but for a retail, for a mall, it's a complete open platform where you can feel the colors, you can feel the theme, you can experience that you're going out on a vacation, that this is going to be the thing that you really wanted. And then of course there are a lot of people guiding you and reading your mindsets, and probably guiding you what you are yourself not aware what you want to buy. So I think it is very good to have a store. Apart from the profitability, it is important to have a store as an experience center.
True, absolutely. And that feel good factor
Yeah,
whenever you
that's
go out
important.
and
Yeah.
shop. So when it comes to high streets, I understand, they're like individual entrepreneurs who would own those retail outlets and you would have to negotiate for the locations. But when it comes to mall, it's all about location within the mall as well. And some things that
Absolutely.
they do for you and you do for them. So, as a retail brand, what is it that you expect from a mall to be done for you? And I'm sure you would know, from the mall side as well as to what do they really expect from you. So, if you could
Footfall. Only
elaborate
footfall.
on that.
Footfall.
Footfall.
So I'll answer this in 2 3 parts. What typically happens is malls also designate roles for our formats. So since we have multiple formats, so if we are doing a smart superstore and it's going to be 25 35,000 square feet of a hypermarket, then obviously we will be given the lower ground floor location because that's where most of the malls house these supermarkets or the hypermarkets. Likewise, if we
Closer to the parking, yeah.
closer to the parking, so that you have a travelator or you have you can take your shopping basket directly to your car and take it in there. So because you're picking up large, you're picking up almost your monthly groceries are going with your basket. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but when it comes to premium malls and we're talking about our international brand portfolio, then we would definitely insist on being on the absolutely bang on visibility ground floor only. So it cannot be anywhere else. It has to be there. Now, if you're talking about, fine, we are talking about the women's wear and we're talking about lingerie like Amante or Zivame, then we have to be adjacent to the women's category stores like the Biba or the And or the Chemistry or whatever, the relevant, because uh, that zoning is what we anticipate is very well structured from malls. So that is the expectation from a layout perspective and a circulation perspective. If there's a men's floor and we have to put a John Player or a Lee Cooper, it has to be in the men's floor only. So these are certain must-haves which we look for in the malls. So a proper zoning and a certain this thing. Second thing is we are looking at consistent mall management and mall upgrades over a period of time because for consumers, a mall is an integrated experience center. Now, when I'm using this word integrated experience center today, the shift has been to 42 to 45% of the mall is experiential in nature. It's moved because you were talking about gaming zone, family entertainment center, all the other experiential centers for children, and so 42 to 45% is substantial space, and that shift has happened post pandemic because people are wanting to have more experiential you know uh, uh, space in the malls. Now that calls for a overhaul every 3 4 years, so which means there has to be ability of a mall to reinvest and recreate its own part voluntarily, not waiting for a downward slide. Now that means that we have got very good experiences from large developing mall developers who have chains of malls. be it DLF or Phoenix or Inorbit or Pacific or such mall, or Nexus. Nexus of course buys out malls, but Lakeshore. Now these mall developers have understood that they need to reinvent that experiential journey for the consumers once in every 4 years or 5 years. So it calls for reinvestment, relayouting, churn, and change in what consumers, because what consumers saw 4 years back is not what they want to see next. So that is the expectation we as anchor tenants or as brand partners would want from malls. But we don't get that homogeneously from all mall developers, because all of them do not understand or deliver this in a very systematic manner. So yeah, I guess that's a journey. We are seeing good mall developers are creating more malls. People who haven't created good malls are not able to create more of them. So it's a relationship journey we are going through.
So, say for example, if somebody is from tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they have an option to open up in a high street versus a mall, and considerably in tier 2 cities today, we would not have more than 2 to 3 malls because everybody would go there. What is the advice generally that if you want to open up the first outlet, whether it should be in a mall or on a high street, considering every city would have one main high street?
The answer would be dependent on the size of the store and the size of the format. Okay, because if you are a large format and you have a direct entry into the mall, then even if the mall didn't perform well, you could pull it off. If you're 10,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet, mall is not doing very well, but your format can do well. That's fine. Like for instance, we open trend stores in many malls on the ground floor. We are doing well. The mall is okay. I mean, not so fine in the tier 2, tier 3 towns. But if I'm doing a smaller format, then the advice would be that evaluate the mall, their ability to hold on, maintain, and run the mall appropriately. And if there is anything circumspect about it, or if you're not too sure, it's better to go on the high street. Because smaller stores, you will be dependent on the mall that integrated experience and that entire environment maintenance to deliver that entire business. Now, if zoning is not proper in a tier 2, tier 3 town mall, and they have not leased it as a women's zone separately, men's zone separately, then it would be difficult for the brand to really pull it off on its own. Then you would be better off being on the high street, because at least in the high street you have an equal opportunity to survive. Consumers can see you easily. So it's more evaluation of the mall's intent to make it work. And unfortunately, in the Indian context, in the tier 2, tier 3 towns, out of 10 malls which we've seen, hardly 2 malls have worked well. 8 have fallen by the wayside. That's our experience, at least in the various formats we've seen.
I think tier 2, tier 3 cities, high streets work really well because one, there is a lot of customers, accessibility is better. Because for them, I think there is a lot of there's a lot of cultural shift. If you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, the people are more introvert. They want to be, just around that area where they have grown up. So I think they would feel more comfortable, walking up a street, walking up a store in a high street. So for them, as I said, mall is like a source of entertainment. They're going out there on a Sundays maybe and dining out with the families. The small kids are playing out. It's more about socializing, rather than shopping in tier 2. Because as a brand, as Archie's, we have also seen a tremendous growth from high streets in tier 2 and tier 3. So metros malls work well, but in areas like tier 2, tier 3 cities, the high street work well.
Okay, all right. And, so we are coming to the end of the session. So, one note, from a mindset of an investor who's taking up a franchise and who's managing these outlets, and sometimes they would come to you and say that I already have a location somewhere and you do not approve of it. How do you manage those situations then? Do you look for a second investor in that case, or you prefer to convince that investor, considering that investor is a good investor?
So of course, we would definitely work on the P&Ls, and we'll also have a SWOT analysis that how it is going to benefit him. Because if it is a good investor, the investor would understand that if he's coming up to you with an investment, he would need your trust. I cannot, if the location is not good for my brand, and I would know that my brand is not going to perform, if today is a good investor, doesn't make sense, because tomorrow is going to withdraw his money, and of course you lose the trust. You can tell the investor that in future, if you're upcoming, if you have some other areas where we can invest, and our brand syncs well with that particular region, we can definitely help this him setting up. But of course, if you know internally the location for your brand is not good, it's not approachable, people would not like your brand to be there, you are just fooling around with yourself and with the investors. So long term relation is anyways going to be spoiled. So I would always suggest, if all the areas are met, then it is, of course, you should welcome the investor. Otherwise, you can be true to yourself at least.
I agree with what Anisha has to say. What approach we typically take is we take our prospective franchisees to successful stores of the same format and show them the locational requirements for a successful store for that format, if it's a menswear brand or if it's a lingerie brand or whatever it is. So first we start with an observational study and more uh, education to the franchisee on the critical success parameters for a successful store. Then we visit his location and then ask him to be a part of the evaluation whether it's meeting all the critical success parameters for a successful store of that format, and bring him to a self realization saying, hey, okay, I own this place, but this is not necessarily the best place for me to put my money. That's part A. Part B is we always put an Excel sheet and tell him cost of occupancy is only a certain percentage, but if I drop footfalls by 25% or 30%, then my entire economics is lost. So we do a scenario building on an Excel sheet also to educate him, because if he's number savvy, then he will understand that. If he's observant and able to understand what we are saying, then showing him a successful store and getting him to understand critical success parameters of that location versus his proposed location, I think we've had fair success in making people understand the point we are trying to make. And I can say, to the credit of my team, some of them have even got the franchisee to go and scout for a proper good location which suits the requirements, and they have become franchises to us, notwithstanding the fact that they repurposed their own location to something else, not necessarily to this brand franchise.
And out of curiosity, what is more which is coming up across brands in Reliance now? Is it high street or is it malls? In terms of numbers.
It is high street because we are not getting a supply of malls at the pace at which Reliance wishes to grow. There is not enough good quality construction of malls in this country, but there is consumer demand for consumption of brands is growing at a much faster pace than what we have anticipated and mall developers have anticipated. So the answer is the high streets.
For you, is it working out the same way?
Absolutely. I think high street is better for the brand, because we need smaller areas like 300, 400 square feet. And I think we have been working well, and the revenue we are generating from tier 1, tier 2 cities, it's better from high street. Yeah.
So, on that note, thank you so much
Thank you so much.
for being with us,
Yes.
and that was a really
Yes.
informative session. And are there any? Yes.
Great discussion. So 2 points. First, to the Reliance gentleman. So what are you doing about quick commerce? So you're saying you are present in Blinkit and Swiggy, but there were ads during the T20 World Cup where the two film stars, right? They were talking about Reliance quick format, quick commerce. So what's happening on that front? Okay, that's first part. I'll complete the second part of the question also. Second part is to both of you that people go to store to check out the stuff, right? Experience it, touch it, feel it, but they come back to e-commerce store and buy it at a cheaper price. So somewhere do you allocate the cost of the brick and mortar store to your quick commerce sale in that area or e-commerce sale in that area, because sometimes the store in itself won't justify the cost. But the e-commerce sale put along with it may justify it that it's an experience center and then people are coming and buying the same thing online. So how do you do that P&L thing?
So part A, yes, I mentioned that we are already in quick commerce, but we are not as large as Blinkit or Zepto. We have about close to 1,000 plus dark stores across the country, and we have significant presence in the top 8-10 metros, but we still need to do a lot more to really catch up. So
You'll be available at Blinkit and Swiggy till that time.
No, not that way. I'm saying we are doing our own quick commerce. We have a Geo Smart app,
Yeah.
and we already started work on that. So we
So-
are all.
So you won't be available at Blinkit and all that.
No, what won't be available? I did not get which one.
Reliance consumer products, your own private label brands.
No, we are not there on that.
Okay.
No.
Second part of the question.
Second part of the question, see, we look at profitability for every format. So there are multiple channels. Quick commerce is one channel. Brick and mortar store is another channel. Distribution is another channel. Shop in shop is another channel. So the brand profitability is looked at totality. It's not looked at channel-wise profitability. So some channels will have very low profits. Some channels will have better profits. But it is the sum total of the weighted average of the profit of that format which is taken into consideration. And obviously the growth drivers are fixed based on where it's more profitable. So of course, if consumer is demanding more on quick commerce, then we have to compensate it by getting more business on brick and mortar stores also to have a healthy bottom line. So that's the business team's ability to drive it in a different way.
Then there is a issue comes in that your sale is happening from quick commerce, but you want to put extra brick and mortar stores. How do you justify to top management you want to put 10 more stores because the sale is not coming from there?
No. We are managing the strategy to drive sales. So it's a different what I call it as the product mix and the product portfolio being offered on quick commerce is different from the product mix and the product portfolio mix which is going on brick and mortar. And brick and mortar has been redefined and redesignated looking at the consumer expectations which have shifted thanks to the quick commerce. So the product offerings and the product portfolios are being curated to the differential needs now. It's not one size fits all. So that is a lot of science and a lot of data which is being used to regulate and rework this. And that's how all the stores are being relaid out basis that. And that has given us a lot of impetus into understanding what the new consumer is expecting when they come to a brick and mortar store, what the consumer is expecting from quick commerce. They are different. There is an overlap, but they are different.
Yeah, so I think most of the question he has answered. So, but I would also like to make you understand that quick commerce and the retail, the brick and mortar retail, they both coexist. Now you can't choose to have either one. You need to have both of them in the ecosystem because they have become the part of each other. As he rightly said, the product mix for quick commerce is completely different because they are restricted to a typical ticket size. The average selling price of the product, if you check out on quick commerce, 80% of the portfolio is between 600 rupees to 500 rupees. You will not find many of the products, at a very high ticket price product that are available on quick commerce. But for the store, you can have a product which varies from, let us say 2,000 to 4,000 because then the person is just right in front of the product. And if you are buying something on the quick commerce, so you have to understand that quick commerce is more of last minute buying.
Let me clarify. So I'm not saying quick commerce. I'm saying Amazon and Flipkarts of the world, 80% of your sale is happening over there. 20% is coming from brick and mortar. But still you need to invest in brick and mortar because people want to touch and feel. They come back and buy on Amazon because they're better discounts. And trust me, there's Blinkit and Zepto which are thinking of selling refrigerators and mobile phones from their platform now. So quick commerce would be ticket size of 20,000, 30,000 within 6 months.
But that depends on the category. But eventually, are you going to buy a new, probably a ABC phone, which cost you around 40,000 from a quick commerce or e-commerce? Nobody would do that. So you have to go to a store to first understand the brand and then probably invest that ticket size Apple is also being sold on quick commerce, right? So, but you know the brand initially. So, if I talk about the profitability, of course, the huge discounts that e-commerce is offering vis-a-vis your retail, of course, that's a big concern. That is why the companies have started working on their portfolios, that how to segregate e-commerce vis-a-vis your stores, so that we need to have the profitability, because capex is any day higher in your retail rather than in your e-commerce. So I think product mix will sort this problem out.
So thank you so much for the session.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
informative.
you.